Well, well, well. You couldn't live with your failure, Traitors US. So where did that bring you? Back to me. See, what you have to understand is, ladies and gentlemen, contrary to popular belief, there has never been an agenda or a narrative I was pushing for my own personal gain. Contrary to popular belief, everything I have ever stood 10 toes down for has always been for the betterment of what I could see as the future of reality TV. I knew Big Brother needed a black champion. It needed a black woman and a black man to get over that hump so we can move forward. We have. And yet, production is still caught up in trying to hand things to women, and they've completely forgotten about men. Ask yourself, what show is responsible for this change of momentum? It's only one show that you can blame. And it's the show that has gotten so much credit for the minimalistic amount of innovation. It is the one show that no one cares about the missions. It's the one show that they literally pick people based on prior relationships so they can work together and so they can outnumber the rest. It is the one show that production handpicks the people with the most power on day one, and then they give us the illusion of choice by allowing the two apex pets they pick to pick the third pet. When 9 times out of 10, if you pick the first two, you already know who those two are going to pick as the third. See, ladies and gentlemen, there is a reason why I have been trying to explain to you all and expose how The Traitors is a show not worth me covering anymore. It's because, unlike a lot of my contemporaries, I have the ability through the time stone to see deep into the future. I am someone who's well aware of my past, so I don't repeat my past. And I'm someone who's always trying to give goodies out in the present. Well, ladies and gentlemen, in this Sunday roast, we are definitely gonna give you everything you could ask for and more, because we gotta truly expose traitors for the BS television show it's always been, and we have to proverbially kick in these motherfuckers' door. Here exclusively on RBR, where the real stars are.
I have been a fan of this show, of this man, since I heard him speak, since I saw him break down these games from a black, not just from a black male perspective, but also from a gamer.
Who do it
like he's it's like he's played the game many times before.
I've been thinking, lately it's just me against the world. Round and round I'm caught up in this swirl, trying to dig and trying to burrow. Pressure turned this stone into a pearl. Lessons that I learned weren't always thorough, sugar-coated like a churro. Now I'm really out here on my own. Now my homies acting like I owe 'em, done extending out my arm. Made a lot of money from my poems, been around it, now they say I'm on.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the critically acclaimed Pop the Trunk podcast, now Patreon exclusively sponsored Hall of Fame, Recency Bias Radio, with me, of course, as your humble host, Dave Smith. Now, we are here to discuss how one show has had this weird transcendental impact on all these other shows who have been around long before it. You know, it reminds me, in a sense, of how the WNBA showed up. Somehow it got more ratings now than the NBA can muster, all because of one player. Somehow the reality TV space has allowed their need to see Cerie win something. They have allowed that to turn into this overt glaze of a television show that is inherently flawed. And they act like it's not flawed because women who can't win no comps have a chance to win this game. You don't think that had an impact on how Big Brother's comps got so much softer? See, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of people act selectively stupid. And what's laughable to me is how I'm stumbling upon shit on my timeline this morning, and I come across this tweet. And the tweet is on Patreon, it's on a public post, but let me specifically read verbatim what this guy said in his tweet. That way we can jump off this springboard and further expose the irony in all this shit. This guy said, and I quote, All right, now you see what's on the right side of the screen. He quote retweeted this picture and said this. This is why reality TV has gone to shit recently. If a gay cast member is eliminated, it's homophobia. If a woman is eliminated, it's misogyny. If a drag queen is eliminated, it's transphobia. Are y'all not tired of turning everything into the oppression Olympics? Now, what's interesting about this is he didn't mention anything about black people because he knows those were warranted arguments. Those were warranted complaints. Nowadays, not so much, but when they were at their highest peak, it made sense. But you notice, even white men are calling out the bullshit because now they're feeling the same heat black men have felt. Where now, if white men just work together, there's this narrative built into it. You got Andy Herron, this gay twink, benefited the most from racism. But he keeps coming out the woodwork when it's convenient to have these little comments, but he never wants to own up to what he benefited from, right? Meanwhile, a lot of these white men on this show, Andy Herron's jealous of, because he'll never be Derek Levasseur with his own television show on Vice or whatever channel that show is on. He'll never be a Wes, a guy that can be on multiple different shows all at once and has won the same show multiple times. He'll never be a Boston Rob, a guy who's made Final Two multiple times. And those other guys in the background, I don't know who the fuck they are. I'm just going to be honest. But that's the thing about production on shows like this. They look for women that are easy to recognize by the average woman, and they look for men that aren't that easy to recognize by the average man. Because deep down, they want there to be a bias placed towards preferring, the woman outlasting the man. But with that said, let's really get deep and down dirty. Because I love the deep dives. Let's really get down dirty with what they're trying to claim here. They say beware of the Traitors. The Traitors bros versus the women and gays. And then underneath, they say Andy Herron warns against an age-old power consolidation of straight men in reality competitions and in the real world. So now you're trying to make this an overarching macro narrative instead of keeping it in the reality TV space bubble. That's laughable. Because in the real world, a lot of gay dudes get jobs due to DEI that should technically go to black people, but it goes to you. And because you're a white man who claims gay, you can leapfrog someone who's a real minority just because you want something up your bunhole. But you're not going to discuss that because you're full of shit, right? All these people are fake woke. But once again, what do you expect? This is the monster women allowed to manifest because they wanted to align with these gay twinks because they saw them as a tool they could use against straight men, all right? And when it's convenient, they try to weaponize straight men against the gay dudes too. That's how women get to play both sides and act like they're masterful in the social game, when in reality, people are just picked to work with you by default. But with that said, I want to stick to the one point they brought up here. Them trying to place the blame on why things are so divided based on sexual orientation and gender. They want to blame it simply on the straight man. Now think to yourself for a second. Didn't Cerie Fields, didn't she win this game because of two zesty motherfuckers that she manipulated in the first season? Wasn't Ari the only straight guy at the end? I don't care what y'all say, that black dude was gay as hell. No straight black man drops his jaw. I said drops his jaw. No one drops their jaw as much as this brother does. No one carries themselves to. Look at that face on its own. Y'all really think this nigga likes pussy? Come on, man, tell the truth. Cerie can't manipulate real men, just like Parvati Shallow can't manipulate real men. All of these legendary women that play these shows are all flawed because when a real man is in their presence, their gameplay depletes. They're running on E. Right? When you're around the simps and the beta males and the cucks, it's easy for your game to get off. Just like it's easy for a high value man to manipulate an ugly girl. Didn't we see how Cody had Christine wrapped around his finger in BB16? Y'all didn't give the man credit for that because y'all could tell the girl was thirsty and ugly as shit. When the woman does the same thing to these thirsty dudes, though, people act like it's otherworldly. They act like it's world-class gameplay. They act like no other woman in that same position could take advantage of a simp. But that's where we are. Understand that. We're talking about a community that didn't want Mackenzie to use her America's power of veto on her showmans because they wanted her to preserve herself more. In other words, we want this strong man gone by any means necessary. We're going to co-opt Angela's narrative about this man somehow being disrespectful to women so all women can vote him out. This even convinced Rubina to vote out a Filipino man the first week. Just dumb gameplay across the board for the sake of the hive mind. But imagine, now all of a sudden, Jeremy Collins is gone, I've been told. Tony Vlachos is gone, I've been told. I hear they even took out a RuPaul Drag Race character. So even if you're a gay black man, you get targeted just the same when Danielle Reyes is running shit. Because once again, she has PTSD from Marcellus. She can't work with any black men. This is why she is a flawed player too, but y'all scared to hold her accountable as well. Y'all allowed Potato Chip to co-op and clout chase off of a narrative that Danielle was robbed to make sure she got rewarded. And see, this is what I'm trying to get y'all to understand. One sexist nexus event can create another one. And that's why this is the sexist solar plexus. Because it's become so sexist, y'all can't contain it anymore. It's infecting everything. And that's why I'm covering Deal or No Deal Island. And even that show, you can clearly tell that there is an infection of feminism being implemented every second. But understand, the plausible deniability it takes to blame straight men for something we're reacting to, knowing damn well if a woman chooses to target men, they're applauded, they gain followers from it. If a man decides to target a woman, even if he's warranted because she's already done some slick shit towards him in the past, he loses followers, he loses clout. So we're being incentivized to not try to win. Women are being incentivized to go out there and win. They're bringing our legends back on these shows to compete against women that are nowhere near as legendary as them, but they rig the system so the woman can appear more legendary by the end of the season. That's why this show is a cancer to reality TV. Because it's designed to cut down our male legends and prop up the female legends that clearly weren't that good because they couldn't win the first time they played. But that's what began this participation trophy era of reality TV. The Cookout wasn't a participation trophy. They dominated. There was nothing participation about that shit. And trust me when I say, production created a lot of twists towards the mid-game to make sure they would stumble over themselves. They just outsmarted the system. But when you get to the Taylor Hale thing, that was clearly a rigged production. When you get to the Chelsea thing, they covered up so much it clearly was a rigged production. But the thing that I want you all to understand is, Cerie Field's victory is why she was picked for BB25. Her being picked for BB25 is why the comps got worse, and it's why men get cast worse. Her being picked for that one season has an impact on the show that I grew up loving to the point where I don't even want to cover it the same way anymore. Women have tried so hard to control every single facet of reality TV that now it's completely boring because we know every story before we are told it. Now, put yourselves in the shoes of Wes. Put yourself in the shoes of Derek Levasseur. Put yourselves in the shoes of Boston Rob. Jeremy Collins gets whacked, I'm assuming by Traitors. Tony Vlachos gets whacked, I'm assuming by Traitors. Wouldn't you start to assume women must be in a witch coven working together to take out all the strongest men? And wouldn't you, just by process of elimination, decide to work together in response to that? How are you all of a sudden sexist, and how is it some power consolidation for you to do what's in your own best interest? If these same entities claim the reason why they're working together against straight men is because we gave them no choice because we were doing that to them in the past. How are they incapable of understanding it's a two-way street every time we get the drop on them? It's because they don't want to really earn a damn thing. They want it handed to them. They want it handed to them. And heaven forbid you're a man who grew up in sports. Heaven forbid you're a man who always had to pick himself up by his bootstrap, was never bailed out by no trick. Heaven forbid you're a man who's always faced the reality of knowing anything you're going to earn in this world, you're going to have to get it by hook or crook. Now they got you competing against women their whole life who has been willing to sleep with producers to get wins, who have been willing to do whatever it takes, cut down other people that are of their own race to get wins. I mean, remember Marianne from Survivor? That girl wasn't pro-black until Drea started talking. Then all of a sudden, she done turned into Maya Angelou. And wasn't Maya Angelou married to a white man too? You know what? What is going on? That's the question y'all should be asking yourself, and that's the question Marvin Gaye once asked. What's going on? Tell me what's going on. And the truth is, a lot of these feminists can't tell you what's going on because they just want to be pandered to so badly, they will never admit the actual product has lost its value. I don't have to watch season 3 to know what's going on because I've already seen it in season 2. I've seen a guy known as Peter. I've seen him completely outsmart Parvati, make her look second rate. Then I've seen the community of feminists make Peter out to be a dumb player because he didn't want to be a traitor with proud feminists that clearly were going to set him up to be Christianed. People act as if Christian didn't happen in season 1, and they act like Peter should have just signed up for the Goof Troop mission in season 2. Peter is very similar to myself in a sense. When feminists thought that they had me on their payroll, when they thought they had me in control, when they thought I was on their side just because I was fighting for all black people. See, they misconstrued that as I'm fighting for black women only. Because to them, pro-black is pro-black woman. To them, pro-black is pro-black gay. To them, it's never pro-black man. When the truth is, I was fighting as hard as I could to keep us all connected. To keep us all as a balled up fist. Then I started to look around and see how white media, the same white media that didn't give a rat's ass about anyone black until convenient, now all they have to do is wax poetic about how they love black women more than black men, and these same black women completely forgot the historical context of how they hated them just 3 years prior to that. The same people that hated Bailey, same people that hated Jocasta, hated Dominique on BB19, acted like blackface never happened, didn't really like Kimmy from 21, even though I didn't really find her very likable either, but still. And they decided instead of holding her accountable to instead call David a coon when he was eliminated before her. You have to understand, sisters have allowed white media to run rampant and begin to dictate black terms to them. So it's not shocking to me at all that you have these record labels like Universal believing the black community is dumb enough for them to essentially try to rig an entire beef to go a certain way so they don't have to offer a man the money he has earned already. All of these things are pertinent. All of these things showcase how the black community is now divided in all these different subsections because people want to identify as everything but black. And see, I grew up around black people who thought they were special because they were mixed with something, right? I remember there was a term people used to use, oh, you an exotic black. And that would give people this crazy ego boost. Meanwhile, I was just a light-skinned dude with 2 light-skinned parents who people assumed was mixed, and I carried myself in a very humble manner. But people assumed I was cocky just because I wasn't dark-skinned. And then you grow up and you see the dark-skinned people who were so hard on the light-skinned people as kids, now all they want to do is make light-skinned babies with light-skinned girls. Then you go, that's bizarre. Same thing really applies to the reality TV space. Women and gays wanted what straight men had, but they didn't want to have to really put in the same work straight men had to put in. There has never been a gay Dr. Will. There's never been a female Dr. Will. And there never will be one. Because no one has that charisma, unfortunately. I mean, that's the long and the short of it. There'll never be a female Dan. There'll never be a gay Dan. Why? They don't have the charisma for it. Or the gamesmanship. Or the mind or brain for the game. And what frustrates a lot of these entities is the idea that Peter can come from Bachelor. This guy's like a pilot or some shit. He came from Bachelor, and he had a better mind for the game than all these overrated women that came from Survivor, Big Brother, whatever the fuck. He had a better mind for the game than they did, and they're the ones coming with a reputation of a mastermind. Sandra Diaz-Twine was a 2-time winner of Survivor, and she got exposed on Traitors as being a subpar strategist. She made everything about sexism She codified it a bit, and she tried to shroud it in a whole bunch of bullshit. But in reality, she basically made it seem as if I can't turn on Parvati. I can't do that because I want to trust her. Preseason deal. Pre-game alliance. Meanwhile, the Peters of this world didn't have someone he necessarily knew before the season, but he got to know people in the game. He played the game the way it was meant to be played, and he low-key outsmarted everyone while playing the game the right way, and he's the guy that got shitted on for doing it. Meanwhile, all these other players who aren't playing the game the way it was meant to be played, who are playing it based on gender, who are playing it based on pre-game alliances, who are really obscuring what it really means to be a great player because of all the help Sari got, now they just expect, if women expect to keep winning, we got to do the same thing. Only for them to completely squander the bag, and 2 challengers end up running away with the win last time. But they made that win all about Trishelle. And listen, I'm not going to take away from Trishelle, because I did think all that season she played better than CT. Let me put that on wax. I'm not biased here. I might call out the sexism. That don't mean I got to be sexist. I think Trishelle was Peter's, one of his main supporters that entire season. And sure, there was some other people. I've forgotten their names by now. John. I forgot the other guy's name. I thought he was really entertaining. But when it's all said and done, though, people make it seem like this traitor shit matters more than all these other shows because all these other shows have tried to clone and copycat traitors. That is the biggest mistake you can ever make. If you try to augment or change the way your show is ran in order to keep up with the Joneses, especially a Jones that's only been around for a few years, not only are you sunning yourself, but you're putting that other show over as superior, even though that show in no way, shape, or form has earned the right to be considered superior. See, what I believe happened is, I believe Survivor, Big Brother, all these shows. First of all, I think Viacom might run every reality TV show in existence right now. To be honest, the way they kind of share the same talent, it feels that way, right? I think they saw the amount of support and the amount of glazing that was being sent towards Sari and her victory that was once again built on the ignorance of gay blacks, right? She finessed these gay blacks into believing, yeah, I'm pro-black. Yeah, I'm all in it. Yeah, it's all about black people winning, right? Then at the last second, it was all about her winning. When, once again, she was in the medical field. If I'm not mistaken, she's a registered nurse. She probably makes more money than both of those people do combined. On top of that, she's played reality TV how many seasons? She had way more money than those 2 blacks had, and yet she still placed what was best for her over them. She put Ari in an unwinnable situation where if he pounded the table and fought hard for his chance to win, he would have been labeled racist. Now, understand, Sari is who gave the playbook out to the Taylor Hales. She is who gave the playbook out to the Chelsea Brahms. She's who gave the playbook out to all of these black women on all these shows to believe they can use pro-blackness as a grift, but they gonna be honest with the white woman. That's what Sari's entire aura and narrative has always been. The first ever season she played, the Black Widow Brigade, it was one black woman and a whole bunch of Beckys. Sari has always been more comfortable working with white women over black people. Don't get it twisted. Don't start to believe because she played with her son one time, she's more comfortable working with black people. Even that season, she was more comfortable working with Izzy. Am I lying? So once again, sisters don't want to admit this stuff because it puts cracks in a lot of their narratives. We're talking about fans that weren't happy for We're talking about fans that weren't even happy for Xavier winning Big Brother and becoming the first ever black winner because they wanted Tiffany to win. These are the same people now that saying Drake ain't black enough because he light-skinned, but they wanted a light-skinned woman to win over a dark-skinned man then. I need y'all to wake up. See, if you get caught up in the colorism game, you're going to lose every time because you're going to lose the scent of the trail that's being left behind. One thing about me, ladies and gentlemen, I'm a wolf. So I always know the trail. I might not always follow it. I might take a break from giving a fuck about it. but I'm going to always remember where the bodies are buried. So just understand, Traitors is a game designed to make all of the men who have paved the way for masterminds to truly flourish on reality television. It is designed to make them all look overrated. They have managed to make Dan look bad now. Cody Calafiore look bad now. They just made Jeremy Collins one of the first boots. Tony, a 2-time winner, one of the first boots. They didn't make Sandra one of the first boots, though. Think about that shit. You don't understand why that's being done? Come on, man. So Sandra can last as long as she did as a 2-time winner. But it has nothing to do with her being a woman. But Tony gets taken out in the first few episodes of this new season of Traitors, and you want me to be dumb enough to believe it has nothing to do with him being a man. I got some oceanside property in Wyoming for some of you motherfuckers if y'all are this gullible. And I know my patrons aren't this gullible. But I gotta break this down, man, because I'm not covering that garbage season. I knew what this season would become. I was ahead of the curve, and I have been trying my best to get women to understand y'all are creating the downfall of every show by trying to turn every show into a Bravo network show. You're ruining it. You're absolutely ruining it. Y'all got shows that cater specifically to you. Enjoy that shit. Don't infect all these shows that are co-ed with that same mantra. It's not going to work out long term. Because now white men have already felt marginalized for a while now. But now black men are starting to see what white men see at the same exact time. You're in trouble, buddy. You're in trouble, buddy. Because the most talented members of the media happen to be men. Y'all can overrate all these ladies in media as much as you want, but let's just tell the truth where it needs to be told. A lot of them women don't know what the fuck they talking about, man. That's why I was hard on 8Cuck for being on a channel with nothing but a whole bunch of women. He sissified himself, and he'll never get the credit he deserves, even if the channel blows up. It's gonna go to the women. Now, maybe he's too young to realize these things. I think the nigga's old enough to know better. But with that said, this further proves my point. Do you think anyone would like that nigga if he was by himself and not surrounded by women? They require you to be a simp. They require you to be willing to bend the knee to the matriarchy to give you any acknowledgement of right doing. And there was a time when I was defending Tamar and Candy, when I was defending Bailey, when I was defending Dominique, that all these people started convincing themselves, oh, he's a feminist. When in reality, I was just doing the right thing. Don't misconstrue doing the right thing with feminism, because all feminism ain't right. See, that's deep too. And it's ironic that I am the one that has to bring balance in this sense, because for the longest, people tried to portray me as the guy ruining reality TV, when all I wanted to do was see black people shine. For once. Nowadays, a black man is lucky if he even makes it past a few episodes, and they want us to just be happy because a black woman got a season rigged for her. That don't do it for me, my nigga. Think about this for a second. Production tried to rig a black woman three-peat. They was trying to make sure Potato Chip, Cerie, and Chelsea won back to back to back. Y'all don't see how fucked up that is. They gave Cerie her son to play with. They gave her Izzy, who idolized her. You know, if Kirsten wasn't dumb as a box of rocks, you know, maybe, just maybe, they would have done something. If Felicia wasn't a big Cerie hater, maybe, just maybe, it would have worked out. But at the end of the day, even the sister hated on the sister when shit hit the fan. Because Felicia believed, hey, this is my moment. You've had your moment before. Let me cook. Even Felicia got tired of the script and bucked the system, only for both of those women to be labeled the help by non-black people. And what did it take for people to start talking that greasy about black women? For there to be no Jared in the house. The same people in the media that hated on Jared every second, that wanted him banished from the show for saying the word retard. They're the same ones after he left and after black women started getting mistreated. They're the same ones that won't admit, oh, well, if Jared was around, that wouldn't happen. Because they want black women to believe the white man and the white woman are their savior. This is deep. Meanwhile, the white man and white woman wouldn't say shit to stop Jag from talking reckless about them sisters. You didn't see Bowie Jane say a damn thing. You didn't see Matt say a damn thing. Matt goof ass, I can't hear you now. Goof ass nigga. Remember, that's why I made Fade in the Water. See, I remember all my rants when they are specific to a specific topic. So you just got to understand, ladies and gentlemen, the way they rigged Traitors Season 1 for Cirie, it has had aftershock effects on the rest of reality TV, to the point where now the challenge in back-to-back seasons has managed to rig 2 back-to-back finals to 2 white women who straight up and down, no special effects, aren't entertaining. All they did was kiss ass of production. And they rewarded them for it. Laurel literally bullied a player who was out of commission for years when she came out of retirement. Imagine, think about this for a second. Think about if Michael Jordan comes out of retirement. Do you honestly believe the NBA would in any way, shape, or form facilitate or support players trying to bully him back out of the league? Or would they be smart enough to know this is our cash cow, let's stay the fuck out of his way and let him cook? That's why the NBA was thriving back then. They were actually smart. Now they're dumb as shit, and they've turned everything into Euroball, so now no one watches. And the challenge, if you're not careful, you're making the same fucking mistake. You niggas need to learn. And see, that's the thing. Y'all rigged a final to Laurel because y'all didn't want Cara to have the narrative of, I've been away for so-and-so amount of years. I came back, first season back, I won. Everything was against me. I still pulled it off. Y'all rigged the entire season against her. She overcomes all of it, and you still rig the final against her. Then the season after, you bring Laurel back to continue the same bullshit. The type of shit, if Turbo did it to Jordan, he'd be kicked off. But because she's a woman, she can stay. She quits during the mini final. Then y'all lie and say it wasn't a quit. Then y'all create another rig twist that mirrors the Star Tours from All Stars 4 on Challenge 40 to rig the game for Rachel. And now, this time, Rachel gets to check the same box Laurel did. Isn't it convenient how back-to-back seasons they went so hard to rig shit for lesbians? White lesbians at that. They're trying to check multiple boxes. Because once again, to the gay community, just identifying as gay makes them a minority. They want you to act as if on their census, they're not checking white and benefiting subconsciously from being white. They want you to believe that they lead with their sexuality to such a degree that they're losing out on jobs because they like to eat coochie. Nigga, stop, right? Y'all definitely ain't losing out in casting for eating coochie. So I don't think you're losing out on money in general for eating coochie, all right? So just understand, now Big Brother is a show divided based on gender. Deal or No Deal Island, they're casting to divide based on gender. Survivor is a show now based on gender. The Challenge, all these shows. And now we're supposed to believe the Traitors isn't responsible for this? Ladies and gentlemen, did you know in Traitors UK, they have this same exact problem? Men that are traitors don't want to choose women to join the Traitors Coven or the Traitors Turret or whatever they call it. In my opinion, the US is being used to counteract men's dominance in UK probably. The issue though is You're trying to offset some shit that's irrelevant to us as an audience, and it's having an impact on all the flagship shows we're known for, not UK. It's disgusting to me, man. And see, you got people out here trying to convince us somehow this is improving every show. Pandering to a subsection of the audience every single season. When there was black people being pandered to, we were told this shit was boring. But now we're supposed to believe because it's women being pandered to, it's not boring? When literally women can do the most minimal in the game and they get so much credit for nothing? Hey, look at her. She went up to a woman she already knew who was a feminist and she said, let's do an all-girls alliance. Mastermind. Isn't that how that latest Survivor season played out? Like what? What is mastermind about convincing someone to do something they already was picked to do for the cast? You know what's mastermind? Dr. Will convincing Frank Udi to use the the veto on him and to backdoor Brittany Haynes. That was legendary. Because Frank and Dr. Will, Frank and Dan, Frank and Dan had heat with each other prior to that moment. So it actually took real work to convince Frank to make the move. Convincing someone to do something that they were going to do anyway, that isn't great gameplay. Great gameplay is convincing something they wouldn't have done otherwise without your presence to do it. This is why Dougie respects my work. Because I understand Dougie convincing Vivek to backdoor Dennis would have never happened if Dougie wasn't on that season. Dennis probably makes jury. Dennis probably wins every comp and no one ever targets him because everyone's scared to target the gay guy. But because Dougie showcased once again how much of a mastermind he was, and he didn't just sit back and let the women dominate the beginning of BB Can 12, all the people who waxed poetic about how great he was to kick off the season, lying, because for the longest all y'all did was throw shade at this man. Then the season begins and he grabs the bull by the horns and he controls the game again. Then all y'all turn on him immediately overnight and go, see, this is why I didn't like him. He's arrogant. How come y'all never call out the arrogance of women, though? Why is arrogant a term that's always loaded on men, but not the other way around? And how come it's never loaded on these gays? So once again, when you try to box in men as being the problem, when men, for the last 2 to 3 years now, have had no control over any reality television show, how can you blame us for what we are a victim of? Does that mean we can blame you for what you claim you were a victim of before? See, this is a slippery slope, and this is how I know a lot of people are narrow-minded, and all they care about is what benefits them. They don't care about how the people that follow behind them can suffer because of their own selfish endeavors. This is why I had to pivot when it came to certain talking points, because I realized this is bigger than just race now. There's a lot of women who are lost. There's a lot of women who are being raised to be bitter by design. There's a lot of women taking the baggage of the man that they like that don't want them. They're taking that onto these shows and now hating on any attractive man that don't want the girl they like. They're like living vicariously through her character and going, I was treated that way. I hate him. And then they go to these extremes to try to ruin the man's life. But they don't go to these extremes to ruin a woman's life. Hell, Brittany from BB23, didn't he get away with rape or some shit? Wasn't she trying to help him cover it up or some shit? I'm going to go with allegedly because I don't know all the facts. But ain't she always showing up to Ozza's little meet and greet cook shit? Don't nobody say, why is this bitch here? But I bet you if I showed up, they'd be like, why is this nigga here? So once again, they care more about a black man speaking truth to power than they care about a white woman defending a rapist. But once again, all they want to do is scream misogyny. Ain't that ironic? This is why I don't take people seriously. And this is why I'm going to keep doing the work that I'm currently doing. Because no matter what show you look at, everything that I have warned you all that would happen has begun to happen. Across the board, name the show. Now think, is that show divided by gender now? You will be hard pressed to find the reality TV show that isn't being played this way. Shoot, someone told me that, not The Wall, what is it, The Floor? People tell me The Floor is a show that's like that now. They said they purposely try to get out black people at the beginning of the show. And they say the makers of Big Brother created The Floor for a different network. So you just have to understand, ladies and gentlemen, this all started with Cerie Fields. She grifted her blackness to get over on two gays. She had her little alliance with those gays, and she weaponized them against any straight man in the season. But the narrative is, if straight men now acknowledge the fact that women and gays have this bond and alliance, and we all we got, the narrative is, we're in the wrong for not letting them win again. And you wonder why I'm not covering Traitors? I think this rant already answered your questions why. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to hold you any longer than that. I think I spit complete bars in this rant. I think I made perfect sense. And I wouldn't take back anything I said because all of it's legit. We are in opposite world. We are in La La Land. We're in the Twilight Zone. We're in the sexist solar plexus. We're in a timeline where women feel as if they are being empowered, but they don't want to acknowledge that empowerment. It's being supplemented by an angel investor known as production. And because they want all of their wins to count as the best wins ever, they're selectively oblivious to the fact that all of these wins are welfare wins. Some will acknowledge it when it's a white woman who gets a welfare win, but then things get sensitive and techie and sticky when it's a black woman's welfare win. The truth is, ladies and gentlemen, any woman who wins in this current era needs an asterisk next to her name because the men they're competing against in this era just ain't the same. I'm Dave Smith with Recency Bias Radio, where no one is safe from criticism, and here was a surprise Sunday roast for the culture. Thanks for watching. Long time no see. Did you enjoy the video? Because I definitely enjoyed making it. And since these days common sense isn't so common, I've been in the hyperbolic time chamber, working on my skills and awakening the minds of my patrons as I continue to build. But I have 3 questions for you though. Are you tired of feminism ruining reality TV? Are you tired of LGBT propaganda being forced down your throats and on all your screens? Are you looking for content from a creator who doesn't bend the knee and doesn't blame straight men for everything? If your answer to any of those questions was yes, you should become a Recency Bias Radio patron today and stay blessed. I drop rants just like this one weekly on a platform that doesn't censor the truth. So click the link in the bio or the pinned comment beneath this video to join the RBR family for only $5 a month, and I promise you won't regret it. So happy Black History Month, and always never forget to stay up.